African continent tonight, we have a bold story of ambition, billion-dollar deals and economic turnarounds, but it's also a story of deep challenge, political maneuvering, regional suspicion, and a humanitarian crisis that is a moral failure. Tonight, we analyze critical stories that show the complex high-stakes trajectory of Africa's future. This is the African News Update on Top Accolade News. The headlines: Tanzania appoints Mwigulu Nchemba as Prime Minister. President Tinubu reappoints Mohamed Buba Marwa as NDLEA Chairman. Aliko Dangote pledges $1 billion investment to boost Zimbabwe's industry. Senegal launches National Gold Trading Center. Kicking off in East Africa, President Soluhu Hassan has appointed longtime ally Mwigulu Nchemba as Prime Minister, with Parliament confirming him in a near-unanimous vote. Nchemba, a former finance minister who has served as member of parliament since 2010 and under former President John Magufuli, pledged to advance Tanzania's 6% economic growth through key infrastructure projects amid reduced foreign aid. His appointment comes after the disputed October 29 presidential election, which triggered deadly protests. Nchemba's elevation underscores Hassan's strategy of relying on loyalists to maintain political stability while pursuing ambitious economic goals. In Tanzania, loyalty often carries the highest currency in turbulent times. Loyalty, it seems, is the currency of leadership, an important thread we'll see echoed across the continent. President Bola Tinubu has approved the reappointment of Brigadier General Mohamed Buba Marwa as Chairman and CEO of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for another 5-year term, extending his tenure to 2031. The decision, announced by the President's Special Advisor on Information, Bayo Ononuga, was described as a vote of confidence in Marwa's effort against drug trafficking and abuse. Marwa, first appointed in January 2021, has received praise from Tinubu for his performance, though some agency officers have accused him of nepotism and regional bias. While Marwa's leadership has been lauded for progress against narcotics, the allegation reveals that even well-intentioned campaigns can be shadowed by internal discontents. Now pivoting to the economic firepower reshaping the continent, Nigerian billionaire Aliko Dangote has signed a landmark $1 billion investment agreement with Zimbabwe, encompassing a fertilizer plant and a 2,000-kilometer pipeline. The Memorandum of Understanding, finalized during a meeting with President Emerson Mnangagwa in Harare, signals growing investor confidence in Zimbabwe's economic reforms and opened the door for major projects in energy, cement, fertilizer, and infrastructure. Dangote also plans a large fuel storage facility in Walvis Bay to reduce Southern Africa's reliance on import from Europe and Asia. The deal promises to reshape Zimbabwe's industrial and import landscape. While Zimbabwe looks to foreign capital, Senegal is turning inwards to reclaim its natural wealth. Senegal's President Faye has ordered the establishment of a national gold trading center to strengthen state control over the country's gold resources, following a decade of massive illegal exports that cost an estimated $2.28 to $2.71 billion. The initiative accompanies a full overhaul of the mining sector, including a new mining code to be drafted by year-end and restructuring of public mining companies, aiming to boost transparency and governance. Gold, Senegal's top mining exports, accounted for nearly 30% of the extractive sector's exports in the first half of 2024, reaching about $244 billion. Faye described the move as a sovereign imperative, signaling that the country is determined to reclaim control of its natural wealth. You're watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. Ghana's economic rebound is offering hope after years of crisis. Ghana's economy has recovered from its worst crisis in a generation, with Finance Minister Kassia Ato-Fosun projecting real GDP growth of at least 4.8% in 2026, following fiscal reforms and prudent economic policies. Speaking during a budget presentation to Parliament, he highlighted the inflation has been brought under control, the cedi stabilized, and investor confidence restored, with consumer inflation slowing to 8% in October from a record 54% in January 2023. The government aims for a fiscal deficit of 4% of GDP and the primary balance of 1.5% from 2026 onward, by planning to return to the domestic debt market next year. Ghana's economic revival demonstrates the disciplined policy and confidence building can transform crisis into opportunity. We turn now to East Africa. A high-ranking Ugandan military delegation visited Nairobi this week for a benchmarking mission on military welfare, veteran support, and cooperative project, touring facilities and meeting senior Kenyan Defense Forces officials. The UPDF team praised Kenya's welfare structures and indicated plans to adopt some ideas. However, the timing of the visit sparked public suspicion after President Yoweri Museveni warned of potential future wars tied to Uganda's lack of Indian Ocean access, with many Kenyans questioning whether the visit also had strategic or intelligence gathering motives. While officially framed as technical learning, the trip highlights the thin line between diplomacy and distrust, proving that even a handshake can be shadowed by suspicion in geopolitics. African voices are charting their own part in culture and recognition. Renowned Ghanaian producer Zap Mallet has urged local artists to focus on building strong connection with their home and international audience instead of chasing Grammy awards, while often overlooking African talent in mainstream categories. He criticized the obsession with Grammy-worthy songs and called for stronger domestic awards. Mallet stressed that the true artistic worth lies in the loyalty and love of one's audience. Closing on the pitch, Nigeria defeated Gabon 4-1 in extra time to reach the African playoff final for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, with Chidera Ajuke and Victor Osimhen scoring twice after a 1-1 draw in regulation. Akko Adams opened the scoring before Mario Lemina equalized late. Osimhen's extra time brace sealed the win, and Nigeria will face DR Congo for a spot in the Intercontinental Playoffs next March. Despite earlier struggles, the Super Eagles' resilience and clinical finishing proved decisive. Tonight, we've seen Africa's paradox, from $1 billion investment to a $200 million aid shortfall, from soaring political ambitions to grinding humanitarian failures. The continent is setting its own economic and political rules, but the path forward remains uneven. I'm Ojorume Okocha, and this is the African News Update on Top Accolade News, keeping you connected to the pulse of the continent.